Discretion is advised.
And Melissa, a lot of people got very angry when they saw this picture.
Yeah, it's pretty jarring stuff.
Yeah.
Incredible. Crowell recently posted on his official Instagram page a graphic illustration of a police officer having his throat cut. Now, we believe the image is too graphic to show. This, however, is a blurred version of it. Now, the Browns say Crowell quickly regretted the post and instantly took it down. Crowell released the following statement via the Browns this afternoon, saying last week was an emotional and difficult week as we saw extreme acts of violence against black men across our country, as well as against police officers in Dallas. I posted an image to Instagram in midst of that emotion that I shouldn't have and immediately removed it. It was an extremely poor decision, and I apologize for that mistake and for offending people. My values and beliefs do not match that image. Now, in the meantime, the Browns themselves have not yet issued a formal statement in reaction to Crowell's post.
To follow breaking news of a Missouri officer shooting, local affiliates now report a suspect is in custody. We've got a live look over the area there in northeast Missouri. We do know that a police officer has been shot in the Baldwin area near St. Louis. This happened just after 11 o'clock in the area of New Baldwin and Manchester. A source has told us that the officer was shot 3 times in the neck during a traffic stop for speeding. KSDK reports the officer has been taken to Mercy Hospital in Creve Coeur. The officer's condition officially unknown at this point. Some are reporting that he is in critical condition. Again, that's not confirmed. There is heavy police presence at the hospital, but again, that new information just coming in that the Missouri officer shooting suspect has been captured. We'll continue to follow more this and have more WGEM.com as it's available.
Welcome back. Our panel is here. We give the better introductions for Michael Gerson, former speechwriter for President George W. Bush, now a Washington Post columnist. Michael Eric Dyson of Georgetown University and an MSNBC contributor. Longtime Republican strategist Mary Madeline, a former advisor to Vice President Cheney and the first President Bush, and Eugene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize winning columnist for the Washington Post. All right, we got all your accolades out. Michael, let me start with you. You perhaps wrote the most provocative piece of the week of everybody at this table. Not to say that everybody here isn't provocative in their own ways. Right. And yours was addressed to the white community as a whole about this week. Explain.
Well, my point is that, look, and I understand white brothers and sisters who wrote me back, hey, you can't characterize all of us. Look, it's a trope. It's an approach. It's an understanding. But imagine what we feel when we're addressed as black America. I was pleading, really, with white brothers and sisters to understand the difficulty, the circumstances that we confront, the extraordinary assaults upon black life, the repudiation of any sense of civility when it comes to the interactions between police forces, which most African American people regard with respect and authority.
Nigga, please.
But whose authority has spilled over into terrorizing impulses and impacts upon African American culture. And I wanted to talk about the vulnerability we feel. Even when you were interviewing Chief Bratton, a remarkable man to be sure, but he wanted to draw a false equivalence between talking to his son and Jay Johnson speaking to his son. Jay Johnson, unfortunately, hesitant to weigh in, and I understand. Chief Bratton more than happy to do so. There's not an equivalence between Chief Bratton speaking to his son, because his son is not most likely to be brutalized by police authority or the misapplication of the law to vulnerable populations. And I wanted to express myself to that very America that I teach every day at Georgetown.
All new at 11 o'clock. Lots of you contacted us today about a Facebook post that was making the rounds. It was written by the wife of a deputy in Cleveland County. She said her husband and his partner were mistreated at a local restaurant simply because they were law enforcement. WBTV's Sarah Blake talked with the Sheriff's Office, Sarah Blake Morgan. She is live in the newsroom. And Sarah Blake, I understand it's not the heckling that has these deputies upset, is it?
No, and the Sheriff's Office wanted to make it clear that being ridiculed for their profession is something deputies deal with on a daily basis. This incident, they believe, however, is different, and situations like this, they say, are becoming more and more frequent. These days,
We're walking on eggshells right now.
there seems to be a dark cloud hanging over law enforcement.
I have to ride around in this car wondering if somebody's going to pop up and fire a shot off at me.
Cleveland County Captain Joel Shores admits the climate they work in and day out is anything but ideal.
If If you're not ready to be ridiculed, law enforcement's not the job for you, especially in today's world.
But what happened here over the weekend crossed the line, in Shore's opinion. He says 2 of his deputies walked into this Zaxby's in Shelby where employees started taunting them. But they didn't stop there. He says their food was covered with extra hot sauce.
When the officer said that he took the food and he touched it with his lips, it started burning. That took it to another level.
Shores describes the hostility.
Years ago, this profession was respected, it was honored.
He says has become law enforcement's unfortunate reality.
To get ridiculed, to be a target, to possibly get shot at for little pay, what's the motivation to be a police officer other than do it because your heart's in it to help the community?
He wishes people would realize the actions of a few don't speak for all of them.
We don't want to shoot no one. We don't want a pepper spray. We don't want a taser. That's not what we wake up to do. We wake up to protect.
Understanding is the only thing that will heal a broken relationship. And Shores has no choice but to believe the clouds over them will part one day soon.
If it doesn't change, it's only going to get worse. But I have to have hope that it will change.
Now, the sheriff's office says they reached out to Zaxby's corporate multiple times and never heard back. The company told us they are investigating. This location is a franchise, and we reached out to the owner but have not heard back.
We're following breaking news out of Baton Rouge tonight. Federal authorities have arrested 3 people, and they're now looking for a 4th person.
It's all connected to an alleged plot to kill police officers at last weekend's protests of the police shooting of Alton Sterling. Katie Mort joins us now with the latest details. Katie.
Well, Karen and Ton, we know that the ATF searched a house in Old Baton Rouge today, and we know that that search is related to this investigation. Baton Rouge police say the plot began with a pawn shop robbery where investigators say they think the robbers stole guns with the intention of using them to kill police officers during last weekend's protests. Of course, we have all seen what those protests looked like. Police heavily protected, almost militarized, keeping protesters back off of the city's major highways. Now we know that while this was happening, a group of 3 or 4 people was plotting to kill police. One of the people arrested today was just 13 years old.
This is a substantial, credible threat. There's at least one other one that we worked that has substance to it. It was an actual police officer that was being followed, and we have that information we're following up on. But keep in mind, I mean, our whole goal is to educate the public on everything we're doing. When we're involved in an active, ongoing investigation that's involving police officers and police officer safety, what's important to us is protecting those officers.